All right, thank you. Hello again. So today, everyone, thank you. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. I know I am since I've been lost in Japan already. That was one of my goals for during this trip. Today, my talk will be about how I made school life less boring with Python. So some small introductions as well, just to expound more on what I am as a person. So I also recently graduated with my BSCS degree. So I'm actually a fresh grad at the moment. Um, but other than that, I already have, I guess, less than 3 years worth of experience since I've also been working in the industry while I was doing my degree. So that's a bit about my professional history. As for hobbies, I usually do like fun little dev projects. So if anyone here likes doing open source, then you might uh, connect with that one. I also volunteer in tech communities, and I pretty much read, I guess, most of everything that I find interesting. So that could be like manga, books, anime, movies, and drama and the like. So yeah, that's a bit about myself. Just to give an overview as well of what the talk is about. So as I said earlier, this talk will be about my experience on how I made school less boring for me with Python. And though sharing my experience, hopefully by the end of it, as you can see in the slide, you can correlate my experience in school of making it less boring to generalize for you as well in your usual general life. Or if you're a student right now, you can also generalize it for you as well. Okay. Also, the talk outline will be something like this. So we'll first discuss like why school was boring for me, so to say. And it's not like totally boring. Like there are just some parts of it that was like had some form of mismatch to me as well, or what I define as boring. What I did to make school life more exciting, engaging for me through Python, and how my adventure or journey, so to say, can translate to yours as well. Okay, cool. So I guess just for a bit more of a warm up for everyone here, are there any students in the current audience? All right, cool. There's at least one. Okay, I'm happy already. All right. So I think there's one student, and I think most of you are professionals. Is that correct? Gotcha. Okay, cool. Another warm up question: has any one of you experienced boredom? That's good. If you haven't been bored, then that's good as well. But yeah, as I said, boredom is very normal. That's not to say that if you're bored, that means you have a issue, so to say. But being bored is very normal. To some studies, they even say that if you're bored, actually, you're healthy. So if you ever did get bored, then you're fine. Okay. So let's go more about like what is boredom and how it correlates to my school life. So I think for if anyone like did like psychology studies or social studies here, it's actually normal for us humans to crave excitement, purpose, and unrepetitive environments. Yeah. So again, being bored is very normal. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm the same in this respect, that if I don't find an activity exciting or make me feel that it's for something in the long run, I generally just feel somewhat bored. So I think that applies to like the majority of us. Unfortunately, there were times, I guess, in school that it did not always had this for me. So there were times that I did felt bored, and it led me to be more unmotivated, restless, lost, and unfulfilled, which is obviously most of us don't want to happen. And I presume if you were bored, you probably felt that, right? So that's essentially what I mean by boredom. And also to give you like more of a perspective on why at the time during school there were times that I did felt bored. Look at one of these scenarios. So in school, actually, when I started doing programming, there was a time that I think I had an assignment where I had to memorize like a for loop, and at the time that didn't really mesh with me. So I didn't understand like why I should like memorize a for loop. So that's another thing of them. And there was also a time in school that I was like asked to do this written activity. Like I think it was like a poem about something, like something I was really far in terms of it. And when I asked like my teacher at the time, like, why are we making this poem? Like, do you want me to learn a specific skill? And I got like a silent response from that. So those are the times that usually make me feel bored. And yeah, again, it's not like throughout my school year, it wasn't always the case, but there were times like that. So, and in times of grave danger of boredom, so if anyone again felt bored, sometimes we are trying to find ways to be less bored, and that's what I did as well. So I tried to find ways to make myself feel less bored, and as I said, a hero suddenly appears. And there you go. Py- Python, I guess, was my hero, so to say, during the times of great boredom. So as I said, this is when the time I accidentally found Python. So at the time, I think the best way I decided to relieve my boredom at the time was to actually make fun little dev projects that filled me with purpose and excitement. So we can go over later what I did using Python. Some of them are a bit weird, but please bear with me. um, so at the time, I was just looking for something to do that would make me feel purposed or excited, so to say. And Python was really the best for this, since at the time it was easier to memorize the for loop, since all of you probably saw like it's just 2 lines. So at the time, because of its easy use, it was very easy for me to get into. Setting it up was really easy as well. So it's really just like one venv variable and like one declaration. And you can actually use, I think most of you are aware as well, like Python in most use cases. So at the time, for making myself feel less bored, it wasn't that hard to get into Python. So he was a silent hero that suddenly appeared, so to say. So you might ask, again, what did I made using Python to make school life less boring? So one of them is this small project. So you can see like 2 photos here. So one of it's like a guy, and then the second one is like an abstract painting. So at the time, there was like an event at our school where it was like actually Valentine's. And like there was like an event by students where they wanted to make programmers make like a unique script or unique project where you can make something interesting using Python technologies. So at the time, since it was Valentine's, I decided like the best way was like make a Valentine's card generator. So this is what it looked like. So I made like a script or Python script where it takes like the face of someone else and an abstract painting and it merges into one. So it uses like a neural style transfer thing. And then I made it so that you can generate like a love card generator, or love card, generate a Valentine's card generator for it. So it was very unique, so to say. So we used that for the event, and people thought it was very weird that I made like a Valentine's card generator for Valentine's. And the other contestants or people that were making the scripts were actually making loved ones, like unique scripts for their loved ones. So imagine how weird like a guy makes a Valentine's card generator for other people. So it was very weird at the time. But I think some people liked, so to say, the project, and it was very interesting. So yeah, like you can see, it was just a weird Valentine's card generator. It was fun. I was able to play with neural style transfer algorithms. And you can make like everything, most of this in Python, so which is cool as well. I also started making some Python-related scripts to make me feel, or so to say, not feel, so to say, to create projects that I find interesting. So one of them is like, I made challenges, or I made challenges for myself to make repetitive tasks that I find in school very boring and try to find a way to automate it. So one of these very boring tasks was like, I was made to required to make event certificates. So I didn't want to do that by hand. So I was asked to do it by hand, like 500 certificates. Like you have to manually edit all of those. So if anyone tried to do that, I presume that's very painful. But yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I made it in my mind to see any tedious task, to find a way to challenge it, to make it easier through automation, through Python. And that's one of them. Others are automated emails and such. So another thing that I also use Python for is like how to make repetitive and somewhat very boring tasks less boring. So one of them was like, after we learned like HTML and CSS technologies in school, we were required to make like a website in less than a week. So that was like very short. And I didn't want to do that since I've done it like last year. So it's just repeating making websites. So I decided the best way to do that is like use a an hidden cheat where I used Django for it. So a 1 week took only like a minute to finish, so or a day. So that was fun. And lastly, Python was also an enabler for me to actually join tech community, so to say. So at the time, since I didn't totally mesh with school most of the time, I also started getting into tech communities, in which one of them is like the Python PH community. So with different people with unique interests and unique settings, that allows you to meet new people as well, which is another cool thing. So Python was also an enabler for me on that. And because of Python as well, actually, because of its existence and because of my feelings of boredom, it allowed me to engage with tech communities and actually do talks like this. So I also did a talk in PyCon Taiwan last year, and now I'm doing it in APAC in Japan. And that's pretty much sums up like what are the stuff that I did in Python to make my school life less boring. And hopefully through me sharing you this very short story of what I did using Python, it allows you to also understand that through making my school life less boring, it allowed my general life less boring, which I hope in your turn can also be the same as well. So as you can see from my story, Python was more of like a tool, so to say, to allow me to do other things to mitigate boredom, which I said was like either making small dev projects, automating the very tedious tasks in school. So if anyone had that, I hope you would do it as well. Nobody wants to do tedious tasks. And to give into more detail, Python allows us to do to automate or make our lives less boring by allowing us to dabble with our inner childs, like create little fun projects you might find interesting. Like if you find creating like a Valentine's card generator, creating a solution to solve poverty, to mitigate boredom, that's fun. So anything that you think pops up as your imagination, that's something Python can help as well. Python can also automate the boring stuff. There was even a book about it, so I suggest you read that as well. Python, in a sense, also allows us to create more friends and communities. So through unique instances, again, allows you to create more friends, meet new people, and some of them are actually there. So I've met them again. And there's a lot of people here that I met through Python. And also through my experiences, it allowed me to learn on which learning process works for me. So throughout my journey, I realized that learning through fun little projects and small little scripts and doing it something for purposeful led me to enjoy learning throughout the process. And it also allowed me to advance my career while having fun. So as you can see, I can still do work that doesn't bore me to death. And yeah, I can still have fun while advancing my career. And that pretty much sums up what my talk is about. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Does any question need to ask Carl? Don't be ashamed.
Yeah, feel free to ask any questions.
I have a question. It's about what is the first tools you learn the Python?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
First tools or library you first to adopt the Python.
Yeah, I think the first few tools that I started using, or libraries, is that what you said? Like libraries that I use in Python was like pandas, and one of them was TensorFlow. So as what I showed earlier, it was mostly on making this small Valentine's card generator project. Those were like my initial few. Whoops, that's not the one. There you go. Those were my first few Python libraries, and that was also the time I started getting into data science as well. So yeah, I really just started using these libraries mostly because I wanted to make something little fun and unique. So I didn't want to do like a random template project. So I decided like the best way was like just make something funny and weird at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So thank you, Carl, for the speech. And that's it. Our next session is the break. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
Yeah, this the presentation is completed.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Please clapping for Carl. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much.